name is Paige. I'm a 31-year-old full-time housewife. This is my 3rd year of being married to my husband, Jonathan. And between my husband and I, we were finally able to be blessed with our very first child. We knew early on that the gender of our baby was a girl, and so we named her Pauline. And we can't wait to welcome Pauline into the world. On the day that I gave birth, Jonathan wasn't able to be there as it was happening because he was extremely busy with work. But afterwards, when I messaged him, Jonathan, our sweet baby girl Pauline, was born. He came running to the hospital as soon as possible. As soon as he sees Pauline's face, Jonathan is probably going to burst into tears of happiness. That's what I thought. However, Jonathan's reaction was shocking.
Paige, the birth went well? Let me see. I want to see our baby.
That's right. She's a healthy baby girl. Look, she's so small and look how cute she is. As I said that, Jonathan looked down at Pauline's face and he didn't say anything at all. I was wondering what's the matter, but then suddenly...
What is this ugly child? I bet you cheated on me, didn't you?
Huh? What are you saying? Obviously that's not the case. Not only that, but those words. Is that what you should be saying to your wife that just gave birth? I can't believe this!
No. No matter what you say, I'm not going to accept it!
Like I said, I haven't cheated on you. Does it really look like I would ever do such a thing? And you don't have any proof of that at all. Cut it out already! Even though I had just given birth a few hours ago and my body was beaten up, I never could have imagined that out of everything he could possibly say, that's what he said to me. My mother had come to the hospital to help me after I gave birth, but when she overheard this conversation, she was shocked too. Jonathan, all babies that are newly born, they look like this, and their faces are red and full of wrinkles. You can't tell immediately after they're born which parent they look like.
But I think it's really obvious that it's not my child.
That's not true at all. After a few days, once you've calmed down and you look at Pauline's face one more time, I think you'll see that she looks different than she does today. Come on, Paige is exhausted from giving birth today, and as you can see, Pauline is fast asleep already, so we can discuss this further another day.
All right. Well then, I'm gonna go home for today.
Thanks to my mother quietening down Jonathan's anger, we were somehow able to contain the conversation that day. And this is why my mom is so amazing. But even still, what on earth was that? When you think about the life I've had until now, and also my personality, there's no way that I would ever cheat, and Jonathan should know that better than anybody. On that day, in order to send my mother off, who helped me so much, I headed towards the front door of the hospital. However, right there and then, I happened upon a scene that I was definitely not supposed to see. That strategy earlier, it went down well, didn't it? Immediately after birth, everyone is extremely exhausted, so when they're told, "That's not my child," like that, they just shrink and can't say anything back.
Well, this is why you're the best, Karen. I've been thinking all this time how to get a divorce from her. But if there's a way to do it this easy, I should have spoken to you about it sooner. That was a piece of cake.
Well then, when you get divorced, does that mean I'll have you all to myself, Jonathan?
Yeah, of course. And this is why women in their 20s are way better than old hags past 30.
Oh, silly Johnny! But you know I don't hate this bad boy side of you either.
Well then, when you're done with work today, come on over to my house again. I'm off work tomorrow, so we can spend plenty of quality time together. And then, I'm gonna get a divorce. And when I get the settlement fee, let's go on a vacation.
Yeah, that's great. Nice idea. I can't wait. Wait, what the hell is that? I was thinking something was weird. I knew it. The reason why he accused me of having an affair is because he was the one cheating on me. He was projecting. Not only that, I couldn't believe that this is what he was doing with a nurse at the hospital where I gave birth. I was so furious that I really wanted to confront him and take him down on the scene. And I was just about to storm over to there to give him a piece of my mind. But then I felt a firm hand stop me on the shoulder. Paige, this is where you stay patient. Huh? But he's doing this right in front of my own eyes. I have to say something. You can leave this to your mother. Let's let him swim here for a little while. It's going to be fine. Sure. All right. Even in these circumstances, my mother maintained her calmness and reason. And so, when I listened to my mother and saw her expression, I had no doubt that she must be up to something. So, I was able to forget about my anger, but at the same time, my mother has always been calm and quiet. There was a part of me that was worried if everything was going to be fine again, but for now, I needed to regain my physical stamina, and I told myself over and over again that I would put my all into raising my daughter. However, unfortunately, starting tomorrow and until my discharge date, the person that was assigned to be taking care of me was none other than Karen. Miss Page, is your husband not coming to visit today? He must be quite busy with work. But I saw him the other day. Your husband is so handsome. Oh, is that so? Well, thank you for saying so. I played dumb and responded. If he's that husband, then he looks like he might have one or two affairs, because I think he's the type of man that women can't leave alone if they ever get married. I hope it's somebody just like your husband, Miss Page. Sure? Thinking that I didn't know anything, Karen was bluntly saying things like this to me. Deep down inside, I was furious, but I couldn't say anything back. Every single day was infuriating, but thankfully, both Pauline and I were both recovering steadily, and 1 week after giving birth, I was able to be discharged from the hospital. When I realized that I wouldn't have to see Karen's face anymore, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. However, as soon as I got back home, I was just being attacked by Jonathan's harassment. That's right, because he wants to get a divorce from me, he's probably trying to corner me and push me out. On top of that, every single time he would only make these statements whenever my mother wasn't around.
I didn't know that these little brats cried this loud. I wish I could have enjoyed this time by myself more, so you could have stayed in the hospital for another month.
Well, so sorry about that. If it was in the hospital, I get 3 meals a day and also don't have to clean up the house, so it would have been easier for me too.
Huh? What is that? Even though you're a housewife, are you complaining?
Nope, nothing. It's just that you said you wanted to enjoy time by yourself, so I was just agreeing with what you were saying.
Damn it, who do you think you are? Even still, even though it's been 10 days after you gave birth, that baby definitely doesn't look like me. Because if it looked like me, there's no way it would be this ugly.
Oh my, is that so? I think you made a mistake. Don't you mean because she doesn't look like you, that's why she's this cute?
What?
Ugh, what a chore. Even though Pauline is this cute, how can he call her ugly? Every single day, instead of accepting his harassment, little by little, I was retaliating. And all the while, I was just continuing to collect evidence that he was having an affair. Of course, with the help of my mother. Then, 2 months later, I had gotten used to being a mother, and without the help of my mom, I was somehow able to take care of the house and the chores and my baby all by myself. I had plenty of evidence gathered, and I had to do now was wait for the perfect timing. And after a few more weeks passed after that, it was on a Sunday. My mother, Pauline, and I had plans to go out together that day. For Pauline, this was going to be her first time outside besides the hospital. When my mom arrived, I gathered the baby stroller and diapers. I had gathered a lot of stuff to go out when, suddenly, Jonathan started to cause a fuss.
Even though it's already been 3 months, look at her! Pauline doesn't look anything like me! You said it yourself, didn't you, ma'am? That after some time, her face might change?
Right, that's true. I did say that. Because that is the truth after all.
Hey, Paige, there's definitely something going on with you. You're acting weird. What are you hiding? And since your mother is here, it's perfect timing. Why don't you confess? Come on, confess! And your mom is going to be the witness.
Here we go again, and right before we're about to leave nonetheless. This guy, he's seriously good for nothing. I did think that it was a waste of time just entertaining him, but I took the opportunity to say it to him straight. Like I said, how many times do I have to tell you for you to understand? I have and would never cheat. The fact that you're accusing me so much could mean that there's something going on with you instead.
What are you saying? Huh? You, as the cherry on top of cheating on me, you gave birth to a kid this ugly, so... So who do you think you're talking to?
Wow, because I hit the nail on the head, he's suddenly panicking.
You better stop messing around. I'm gonna get a settlement fee from you and get a divorce. I'm never going to forgive you!
Jonathan was screaming at me with an extreme face. But when I looked over at my mother, her face was bright red and she was squeezing both of her hands into tight fists, and I could tell that she was holding in her anger. This is bad. Is it almost time for the eruption? Jonathan, if he angers my mother any more than this. But that concern was already in vain. My mother slammed both hands into the table with all her strength and completely transformed into the devil. You bastard! You bastard, say whatever the hell you want. Who is the one that's getting carried away and lying out of their teeth, huh? Jonathan had only ever seen my calm and peaceful mother when he was shaking from head to toe.
Huh? What? But, ma'am, what's going on?
Shut your mouth! What do you mean? What's going on? I've been listening to this whole time. Who do you think you are? When you don't even have any clue how difficult it is to give birth.
Even if you say that...
Shut up, shut up, shut up! And the cherry on top, calling your own child ugly and that it doesn't look like you? Seriously, who the hell do you think you are? Do you think we don't know anything about what you've been up to?
Well, you see, hey, Paige, help me out!
You bastard! I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you doing anything suspicious? Answer me!
Well, that's hey, Paige! What on earth is going on? I didn't know that your mother was like this!
I was desperately holding in my laughter and enjoying the show. I held back my laughter with every bit of energy and I said this. What? That's what you want to talk about, Jonathan? Well, my mom is famous that you should never make her angry. You didn't know that?
Obviously, there's no way I would know that!
But more importantly, the guest of honor is going to be arriving soon, right?
Huh? Wait, how do you know about that?
Actually, it turns out that Jonathan was planning on pushing the divorce on me to today and discussing the settlement fee with me. However, it's not going to go like that because my mom and I have been eagerly waiting this day too. As we were going back and forth, the doorbell rang and it was none other than Jonathan's mistress, Karen, appearing. Of course, I knew in advance that she was going to be visiting us today. Well, the whole cast is here. Why don't we curtains this once and for all? Jonathan, I'm here! So, what about the divorce? Did it go as planned? This brainless, useless woman didn't even think about reading the room and boldly stomped into the room. She was just like a happy little fly going right into the fire. Here she is! Here she is!
Shoot!
Karen came in, took a look around the room, and started to sweat. Wait, what? Why is everybody here? That's not what you told me.
Wait, Karen, I told you until I got to the bottom of things with my wife today to definitely not come over!
But you were the one that contacted me, Jonathan. That it was already resolved to come over? What's going on? That's right, I was the one who contacted her. Wow, both of them are super panicking. They're both completely pale. Actually, I messed around a little bit with Jonathan's cell phone and I was the one that lured you here. We'll let you swim around for a while, but that ends today. What do you mean, let us swim? Does that mean you knew about our relationship? Yep, that's right. The only people that didn't know anything were these two. You idiots! Looks like you didn't know anything about how good our eyesight is. We saw the two of you flirting in the hospital, and not only that, but doing as you please in this house. We've seen it all. And yet you're going to divorce because the baby doesn't look like you? A settlement fee? Isn't that hilarious? This is how much evidence that we have already. There's no running away now. As my mother said that, she pulled out all of the photo evidence and material that we had gathered until then and threw them all around the house. Wait, what is this? When did you gather all this evidence?
What is all of this?
Jonathan started picking up a number of the photo evidences and he was completely pale. Because within those photos were photos of Karen. Of course, with a guy other than Jonathan looking very much in love.
Didn't you tell me that you were just waiting for me to get a divorce from this woman? Who's that? This guy! Are you dating this guy too?
When she heard that, even though Karen was trying to play cool until now, she was also completely pale. Oh, Jonathan, you didn't know? She's still young, but she's already married.
What?
And not only that, but she has a child and was having an affair with you. Isn't that tough? Oh, that reminds me. Separately from that, apparently she has a number of relationships with a few of the hospitalized patients. I mean, really, her stamina is almost impressive.
What the hell? I didn't hear about any of this! Karen, did you betray me?
Jonathan was trying to push the divorce onto me and then found out the woman he was trying to get the divorce for was actually betraying him, and the living room had turned into a complete war zone. Well, our revenge doesn't just end here, because look, my mom was still in her devil persona. All the results from this investigation, Karen, I've already sent it all to your husband's workplace. What? No, you've got to be kidding! You may have tried to squeeze a settlement fee out of my daughter, but I wonder who it is actually going to be ending up paying it. Isn't this going to be interesting? No way! If my husband finds out about this, this is bad. Hey, listen, I was just messing around with this person. I had no intention of ever being with him in the first place.
What? Hey, no way!
There it is, the big revenge, the worlds of betrayal. How pathetic. Jonathan, did you hear that? She said she has no intention of ever being with you. So even if you were able to squeeze a settlement fee out of me, this woman would have sucked it all away from you, and that would have been the end. So either way, it looks like your fate was to end up alone. But then suddenly, Jonathan now changed his tune.
H, I'm sorry. To tell you the truth, I always thought that you were the only one for me. I regret it. So please, let's start over again as a family of 3, okay?
This was the typical pattern. An apology into asking to start over. Obviously, there's no way I would ever forgive that. Of course, my mom either. Whose mouth did those words just come out of? Weren't you the one saying Pauline doesn't look like you and that she's ugly, you bastard? And yet, after all that, you're asking to start over as a family of 3? I've had enough of your idiotic nonsense, as if anything in life would ever be that convenient. There is no because immediately after I gave birth, you called this cute baby ugly, and even when I was suffering, you started accusing me of having an affair. There's no way I was ever gonna forgive you. I'm going to collect a settlement fee from you and that woman, so I'll give you a one-way ticket to hell. I hope you're ready. Anyway, we're going to be leaving this house as of today, so moving forward, we can discuss everything through my lawyer. Karen, you better be prepared too. But no! The two of them crumbled into tears. We ignored that, and my mom and Pauline and I walked out of the house. After that, Jonathan called me over and over again, and every day he was repeating the same apology, but of course there was no way I was going to forgive him. After that, I confronted the two of them head-on and took them down. From Jonathan, I was able to collect a settlement fee and child support fees in one payment. I also received the settlement fee from Karen, and I'm very satisfied. Karen's husband also filed for divorce, and he was able to get a settlement fee as well as full parental custody of their child. Well, this is the result of her own doing. Jonathan's company found out that he was having an affair, and he was fired from his job. On top of that, now that he was riddled in debt, and I heard that he's working multiple part-time jobs from morning until night. As for Karen, she was caught by the debt collectors, and I heard that she's been put to work at a pretty sketchy job. Look at the two of them. Tom. Hey, Mom. Thank you for everything. That was the first time I've seen you that angry in a long time. And it really is unbeatable. It has so much power. I know, right? Even your late father. He said he loved the difference between my hot and cold and said he fell in love with me. I see. Now I also need to become strong as a mother. That's right. And I'm also going to keep working hard. For Pauline's sake, too. I'm also going to work hard for Pauline.
My name is Kevin Smith. I'm a 55-year-old company employee. I live with my wife Helen and our daughter Karen, who's about to turn 30 years old. Actually, my daughter Karen isn't actually my real child. Karen was Helen's daughter from her previous marriage, and when Karen was 12 years old, she and her mother moved in with me. Even though we weren't biologically related, after we had been living together for a long period of 18 years, we were practically like a real family at that point. The other day, even at Karen's engagement party involving her fiancé and his family, I fulfilled my role as the father. That's right, Karen was about to get married soon. Her partner was a fine gentleman who was working at a solid company, and his parents also seemed like people who had great manners. When I got married to Helen, I did my best to somehow fulfill the duties of a father, but I guess this meant that my role was going to be over soon. I was happy for her, but also a little bit sad. It was a strange feeling. At this turning point in my life, I also decided to raise my hand for early retirement from the company that I had been working at for all these years. And so, from now on, it means that I was graduating from the two major rules in my life as this company employee and as a father. I was also able to receive a supplementary resignation bonus, and so I'm thinking about taking my time to think about my next life while enjoying feeling like newlyweds again with my wife, Helen. Now that I was standing at a turning point of my life, I was feeling satisfaction for having gotten this far, and also a sadness to be saying farewell to two big parts of my life. However, an incident was about to occur that was going to completely destroy this happiness. That happened when I was sitting down and having dinner with Helen and Karen at the dining table. Hey Karen, have you already decided on a wedding venue? Once you secure the date, let me know as soon as possible. When I said that to Karen, Karen snickered, and then she said this.
What? You don't need to put it into your calendar. There's no need for you to attend the wedding anyway.
Huh? When I looked at Karen, she had a cold smile on her face that I had never seen before.
My real dad is going to attend the wedding.
What do you mean, your real dad? You mean your biological father?
That's right. My real dad. I want my real father to attend my wedding. That's why you're just my stepdad, so I don't want you to come.
I couldn't wrap my head around what Karen was saying to me, and that moment, after all this time spent with her, I was just a stepdad to her and not her real dad? The stepdad part was true, but I thought the three of us had developed a bond over the last 18 years as a real family. Karen, what on earth is going on? You're acting weird. What happened?
Weird? I'm not acting weird. I was just holding it in until now. I never once in my life thought of you as my dad.
What?
I just needed money for my lifestyle. That's why I was just putting on an act as a good daughter. But you know what? I'm getting married, and I don't need you as an ATM anymore. So it also means that I don't have to put on an act anymore.
I was so shocked by this sudden change in Karen that I was confused and didn't know what to do. You've been in contact with your biological father?
That's right. What's wrong with that? It's not like you have any right to tell me I can't. And I'm not going to listen to orders from my fake dad anyway.
I was at a loss for words, but Karen just laughed and got up from the dining room table.
Eating dinner with my dad makes the food taste worse. I'm gonna go now, but also I have a date now anyway. See ya!
After Karen got up from the table, I wasn't able to move. However, eventually, little by little, the anger started to boil inside of me. And your fake dad, you say? Don't attend the wedding, you say? No matter what had happened until now, I thought it was fate that we were able to become family, and I did my best over the years to fulfill the role of a father. And this is how she returns the love? Hey, Helen, what's wrong with her? What is going on with Karen? Seeing Karen's sudden change of attitude, my wife Helen was just as shocked as I was. Or so I thought, however, when I looked over at Helen's face sitting next to me. It sent chills down my spine. That's because, just like Karen earlier, Helen had a terrifyingly cold smile on her face.
What? But it's only the truth, isn't it? It's her own precious wedding. It's a given that she would want her father to attend her special day.
Helen, what are you saying? I became even more confused. Not only Karen, but even Helen. Was I in the middle of some terrible nightmare?
I mean, I was only living here with you so that I could survive. There was no way that I would be able to be a single mom with such a little child. But with this, all of that is over. Ah, what a long 18 years it was. And first of all, this is your fault for getting an early retirement. You're only 55 years old, and you're unemployed? I can't entertain this.
But that was something that we discussed and decided together. In my 50s, I would still be able to get another job, and we said that this would be a great opportunity to start preparing for the next stage in our life.
What? Did you seriously believe me when I said that? The only reason why I pushed you to get the early retirement was obviously because I wanted your resignation money at this timing.
What?
Thanks to that, your resignation money was doubled and Karen is getting married, so I'm free of her too. With this, I can finally do whatever I want. So let's get a divorce.
As she said that, Helen also got up from the table and left. I guess it's true that when humans experience too big of a shock to the system, they take action that is strange and different from the usual. At that moment, that's what happened to me. When Karen and Helen changed into completely different people in front of me, my mind stopped working. I became dizzy and staggered back to my bedroom, and I slid right into bed. This has to be some kind of terrible nightmare. It has to be. There's no way that it's possible that these 18 years of us was all a lie. There's no way that that's okay. That's right, this must be a bad nightmare. If I fall asleep and wake up, I'm sure that my normal life is gonna come back and everything will be fine. Wake up from this nightmare, please hurry up and wake up. However, the next morning, I hadn't woken up from the nightmare. Not only that, but it had actually gotten worse. When I opened my eyes and I went into the living room, everything was completely gone from my apartment. I don't know when Helen and Karen had to come back, but while I was asleep, they had gathered up all of their belongings and they had disappeared somewhere. And then, my bank that contained my resignation money and retirement savings was also gone. I panicked. I ran out of the house. I tried to go look for Helen and Karen. I didn't even know where to go, and I was just wandering around when I glanced over at a cafe with glass windows. When I saw that scene inside, I was shocked to the core. To my disbelief, there were Helen and Karen happily enjoying some coffee with a single middle-aged man. The three of them were laughing and very close, and it was obvious to me that it wasn't a connection that they developed over 2 days. There was no doubt that that must be Helen's ex-husband. What the hell is this? It wasn't just Karen, but Helen had also kept in contact with her ex-husband all this time. I was devastated and completely shocked from this horrible betrayal by the two of them. I didn't even have the courage to go and confront the three of them, and I simply walked away from the scene. When I returned home, I drowned myself in alcohol that night. There was no way that I could deal with this situation without drinking. However, no matter how much I drank and drank, the pain didn't go away, and I was only left with overflowing tears. What was my life over the last 18 years? Even though I thought of Karen as my true daughter, and Helen too, I thought that she had forgotten about her ex-husband and that she loved me from the bottom of her heart. More than the anger towards the two of them, I only felt pathetic about myself. I felt pathetic that for 18 whole years I had been lost in the world that didn't exist. I'm not. Even at this point, after everything, there was nothing that I could do about it. I felt like my entire life until that moment, and my life in the future, was all pointless. I just wanted to disappear somewhere and not deal with life anymore. However, at that moment, I received a phone call to my cell phone.
Hello, Uncle Kevin. It's been a long time. It's me, Paige.
The person that called me was my older brother's daughter, which meant she was my niece, Paige. My older brother actually passed away from illness when Paige was still a baby. When she was little, I was going to parent observation days and school activities in place of my older brother. But after I got remarried, we didn't get to see each other as often. And so it had been a long time since I heard from Paige. The last time I spoke to her, I'm pretty sure it was when I sent her a congratulatory envelope to celebrate her getting her first job, and she called me to thank me for that. Oh, hi, Paige. It's been a long time. What's the matter? I still wasn't able to get out of my shock, and because I was also a little bit drunk, I didn't have much energy to respond, but I spoke into the phone.
Actually, there was a favor that I wanted to ask you, Uncle Kevin.
A favor?
I'm actually going to be getting married soon, and so...
To hear the news that my niece was going to be getting married should have been an extremely happy thing. However, just right now, it was the worst possible timing. With the cell phone still in my hand, I suddenly started bawling. The moment I heard the news that Paige was going to get married, I remembered the moment that my daughter Karen told me that she was going to get married, and then I also remembered the awful betrayal by both Helen and Karen, and I was overwhelmed with emotions that I couldn't hold in.
What's wrong, Uncle Kevin? Are you okay?
Paige was shocked on the other end of the phone as she asked me, and without thinking, I ended up spilling everything that happened to me over the last 2 days. So that's what happened.
What the hell is that? That's horrible.
After my long story was over, Paige was furious for me. However, the moment I stopped talking, I was embarrassed, no matter how drunk I may have been. What kind of adult talks about their own household troubles in that way to their niece? No, Paige, I'm sorry. That wasn't something I should have told you. Please forget it.
Even if you say that, now that you've already told me once, there's no way that I could forget about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But still, Karen is an outrageous girl. But that's also so horrible of Aunt Helen. You know, Mom used to always say that that woman shouldn't be trusted. But she was right. It was so true.
When I heard that, I only became more and more embarrassed. Because I was the one that had made a woman who was seen like that from the outside my wife. However, that was when Paige suddenly started to laugh.
But I'm glad. It looks like my favor isn't going to become 2 birds, 1 stone. I think it's going to be 3 birds.
What?
I need to make sure that the people who mess with my precious uncle get exactly what they deserve and pay for it. Well, I don't need to dirty my hands over it. It's already certain that they'll be going straight to hell anyway.
Paige, what on earth are you saying? I stood there and couldn't understand why Paige had suddenly started to laugh. And it's certain that they're going to hell? What is she talking about? I was the one that was sitting right in the pit of hell right now.
Uncle Kevin, if you think logically about it, I'm sure you'll get it too. Right now, you might be too shocked. And because of the alcohol, you might not realize it yet. But there's no way that their plan is going to succeed anyway.
Why is that?
Oh, Uncle Kevin, looks like you had too much to drink. Listen, if you're asking why...
As I listened to Paige's explanation, I eventually forgot about my feelings of desperation, and I found myself laughing. That's right. Well, of course what Paige is saying is a fact.
Right? Do you understand now, right? So it looks like you have nothing to worry about, Uncle Kevin. Anyway, will you listen to my favor now? It seems like it was perfect timing after all.
As I continued talking to Paige, I forgot all about my feeling of wanting to disappear earlier, and instead it turned into excitement for the day of the wedding. And so today was finally the day of Karen's wedding. I put on a suit, and I was sitting by myself in a chair, and I was just looking out into the distance and daydreaming. But then, suddenly, I received a phone call from none other than Karen.
Dad, where are you right now?
Are you still gonna call me your dad? You said that you never once thought of me as your dad, right?
It's not important right now. Whatever. Please, just hurry up and come here right now. Otherwise, the wedding is going to be canceled.
I could imagine that right now. Karen was already at the wedding venue, and then trouble had occurred over there, and at this point she was undoubtedly panicking. I knew it. It was exactly as Paige had said. Is it your fiancé, and his parents are saying they're going to cancel? That there's no way they can marry a woman who's gonna switch out her father on the day of the wedding? But you know, even though just a few months ago I had met your partner's family as your father, it's amazing that you thought they wouldn't notice. That's right. I had already met Karen's fiancé as well as his parents at the engagement party a few months ago. So for them, they must have been shocked that the father of the bride that arrived to the wedding venue was a completely different person from the man that they met at the engagement party. And when they confronted her asking what was going on, she spilled the truth to them and they were fed up with her. I imagine that's what's happening right now. Anybody could have predicted how they would feel if they saw that there was a different father at the wedding. I can't believe that you didn't even realize that. And you were stupidly trying to carry on with your wedding. How selfish and clueless can you be? Even though I had completely forgotten about it until Paige pointed it out to me, that made me laugh even more.
Even my fiance is furious, saying that he didn't think I was the type of woman to throw away the father that raised me. So if you don't come now, this is going to be a disaster. Please, come right now. If you do that, I'll kick out the other dad and I'll let you sit in the father's seat.
No, I'm not going.
What?
I have no intention of going to your wedding. You can walk down the aisle with the man you say is your real dad. Although the question is whether your groom is going to be waiting for you at the end of that aisle.
But why?
Well, after everything that you've done to me, isn't that a given? And, plus, even in the odd chance that I wanted to go, I can't, because I'm busy right now. I'm about to walk down the aisle with a bride as her father, so I gotta go.
Huh?
It was by pure coincidence, but even though today was Karen's wedding, it was also the exact same day and time as Paige's wedding. Whenever the bride doesn't have a father, there are instances that she will walk down the aisle with her mother. But apparently there are also instances where the siblings of the father or their close friends would walk down the aisle with the bride. On that day, because I had looked after her when she was younger and filled in for her a number of times, and she was asking if I would walk her down the aisle in place of her father on the day of her wedding. So I need to walk down the aisle here, and of course there's no way I'm gonna leave and go over there, is there? So you can figure out your own situation.
But even if you say that there's something I can do, if my father isn't here, then
You said it yourself that you have your real dad over there, so there should be no problem if your fake dad isn't there. Oh, that reminds me. While I have you on the phone, tell Helen this.
Tell her what?
Tell her that just as she wanted, I plan on getting a divorce from her. And tell her that savings she stole from me, I plan on getting back from her. On top of that, let her know that she should be getting a phone call from my lawyer soon, and that I will be collecting a settlement fee from her and her ex-husband for the long-standing affair that they had while we were married. Those are the 3 points, that's all.
What? What?
Immediately after I received you and Helen's horrible betrayal, I was so shocked that I couldn't do anything. But of course, I wasn't just gonna drag myself around forever. And listen to this. This morning, when I greeted all of Paige's fiancé's guests at the wedding over here, turns out that the person that's gonna become Paige's husband is a lawyer, and his father is also the founder of a law agency. Both her husband and his father were very shocked when they heard my story, and they said that they'll do anything to help me with my case.
What?
Not to mention that most of the family members and guests are all lawyers, and well, at this rate, maybe I'm gonna have a whole crew of lawyers. What am I gonna do?
What? No way!
I have plenty of lawyers on my side, and I plan on getting every bit of help that I can to get the biggest revenge on you, Helen, and that ex-husband of hers. So you better be ready, and tell your mom that too. When I yelled that into the cell phone, Karen was panicking and started to cry.
Wait, Dad, please. My wedding is ruined, and if you take money from my mom and Dad on top of that, we're not gonna be able to survive anymore. I'm sorry. I apologize, so please, think this over. We were family that lived together for 18 years, aren't we?
And you guys are the ones who burnt those 18 years to dust. You did all this to yourselves, so you may as well give up. As we were talking on the phone, I looked at my watch, and it was almost time for the wedding to start. Well, it's almost time to go out. I'm gonna hang up now.
Wait, Dad! Please listen.
I'm not your dad. Goodbye.
Wait! Please, Dad!
I ignored Karen's crying on the phone, and I hung up and then turned my cell phone off. Right at that moment, the doors to the dressing room opened, and Paige appeared dressed in her wedding gown.
Uncle Kevin, it's almost time for the wedding. Oh, were you on the phone?
Yeah, I was, but it's fine now. It's all done. Paige, in her wedding dress, brought back memories of how sweet she was when she was little. And she also looked like a mature woman, and she looked beautiful. You really did grow up to become a wonderful woman, Paige. I'm sure my brother would have loved to walk down the aisle with such a beautiful bride. Seeing Paige as a bride in her wedding dress, I was overwhelmed with all kinds of emotion, and I couldn't help but have tears in my eyes. I wonder if I was just seeing things, but it felt like Paige also had a tear in her eye.
I'm sure he would have. But since you're going to walk down the aisle with me, Uncle Kevin, I'm sure my dad is happy too.
And then Paige put her arm in mine.
Thank you for doing this today, Dad.
After that, I got my divorce from Helen. I also had the help of a crew of lawyers related to Paige, and I was able to squeeze the highest possible settlement fee out of them. In the end, Karen's wedding was canceled, and the marriage was called off as well. Between Helen and Karen and Helen's ex-husband, they pointed their fingers at each other, trying to pin the blame on the others, and I heard they are a disaster. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of difficulty paying the settlement fee towards me, so they should probably get along so that they can work together on that. Thanks to Paige's help, I was able to get back up from that devastation, and I was able to find another job in no time after that. At 55 years old, it was still early for me to go into retirement, and I want to embark on this new chapter of my life as a fresh start. In the future, if or when Paige has children, this time instead of a father figure, I hope I can become a grandfather figure to her kids too.
My name is Paige. I'm 40 years old. I'm a housewife, and I live with my husband, Kevin, while going in between multiple part-time jobs. We live in a rented apartment. Kevin's company is currently going through some business trouble, and they're having a difficult time. But even then, we were supporting each other, and Kevin and I were living happily together.
I'm home.
Welcome home. Another long day of work for you. Dinner is ready. Today there were a lot of cherry tomatoes growing on the balcony, so I made a minestrone soup. Doesn't it look delicious? I was able to keep the cost down, and it's full of nutrition too.
Paige, because I'm not earning enough at all, I'm sorry to make you struggle.
What are you saying? You're always working so hard in order to support our household. I am really grateful.
But still, I'm sure you want to eat something nice every now and then, don't you, Paige?
As long as I'm able to live happily with you, that's more than enough for me, Kevin. And plus, I've been looking up money-saving recipes and also checking the discount section of the supermarket, and it's actually pretty fun.
Paige, I'm the happiest guy on earth that I was able to marry you. I'm gonna work hard so that someday I can treat you to anything that you want, Paige.
Happiest guy on earth that you married me. I am the one that's lucky to have a husband that says that. And that's right, even though we didn't have much money, I loved my life every day with Kevin. However, even though I was happy, there was one big concern that I had in my life, and that was my biological family. My father, Chad, my mother, Karen, and my little sister, Hannah, that was 15 years younger than me. Until Hannah was born, my parents were affectionate towards me like any other pair of parents. However, when Hannah was born, my parents only doted on Hannah, and they pretty much had no interest in me anymore. My parents gave birth to Hannah at an older age, and she must have looked even more cute to them, even when I was in my junior year of high school. Hey Mom, listen to this. The other day at the end of semester's exam, I got 3rd place in the entire grade.
What? Oh, really? So what? Oh, little Hannah, you're so cute. There. Hannah's definitely going to be beautiful in the future.
And then, when I was in my senior year of high school, hey Dad, look at this. I received an award. I got the grand prize at the art contest that was held a few weeks ago.
I honestly don't care. Hannah, do you want to go to the park with your daddy? I need to show off how cute you are to all the neighbors. A kissy kiss on your cheek.
When they were this obviously uninterested in me, it was pretty upsetting. And so, as soon as I graduated from high school, I got a job, moved out of my house, and started living alone. However, a few years later, my father was victim to his company restructure and lost his job. In this generation, when it was difficult to find a job, he wasn't able to get another job at a company, and my father was somehow able to get a part-time job as a traffic attendant. My mom also started working part-time, but Hannah was still in elementary school, and the two of them were struggling to make ends meet with just their income. And so, every month, I started sending my family $500 a month. Even though my parents were like that, it doesn't change the fact that they raised me until I graduated from high school. And so, I was sending my family money every month for the last 18 years. Hannah was so small back then, but she's already 25 now. The problem is my parents were still obsessed with Hannah, and same as before, I was nowhere on their radar. Even when I attended a relative's wedding.
Oh, my Paige. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
When I was standing near the reception of the wedding venue, my parents and Hannah came over to talk to me.
Seriously, you look so old that it's embarrassing to call you my big sister.
Perhaps because she grew up, watching my parents make me the brunt of the joke. Every time Hannah had also grown up to become a girl that says rude things like this. And that's why, not even over the holidays over the last few years, I hadn't gone back to my family home to see them. Well, I'm still sending the money every month, and I think you could say that I'm giving back to them for raising me in the least way possible.
Also, Paige, you brought celebratory money for them?
And she said that, Karen pointed at the envelope in my hand. Well, yeah, this is a wedding, so that's the standard, isn't it?
Oh, really? How much did you put in there?
Well, now, why don't you show your mom and dad what's inside?
To my disbelief, suddenly, Chad and Karen launched forward and tried to steal the celebratory money out of the envelope in my hands. I was able to dodge them and get away by a strand of a hair, but... Hey, what are you doing? At the reception of a wedding. What rude parents they are, these people.
Because you're only sending us $500 every month. If you have enough to spare that you can give people celebratory money, then you should be giving more to your parents. $500 a month isn't enough.
Huh?
Even though you're already on the road to 40 years old, I can't believe you're only sending $500 a month. Even though you're the oldest daughter, you don't even treat your parents that well. Who do you think you are? You useless daughter.
These people, do they have any idea how hard I'm working and trying to save, and somehow getting by and still managing to send the money every month? Even though I am their daughter, I wish they wouldn't think of it as a given that they would be receiving money from others like this. On that day, I declared to my parents, if you're going to be rude about the money that I'm sending every month, then I'm going to stop. However, since that day, my parents started calling me every single day after day asking me for money. Hello?
Oh, hello? Paige, how much do you have in your savings account?
Huh?
Your savings account, you heard me. You need to hand over the full amount to me and your father.
Excuse me?
You know how it started to get warm? I need to make sure that I buy summer clothes for Hannah. So you need to transfer to our account that you always send money to.
Hey, wait a minute. I don't have any savings though. And also, even if I did, I would definitely not want to hand it over to these people.
Huh? You really think that you can lie to your parents? Who do you think you have to thank for giving birth to you and raising you?
This woman, just because she gave birth to me and raised me, she thinks she can do anything to her own child? You're saying that for the rest of their life, in order to give back for that, a child has to listen to what their mother says? Obviously, that's not the case. At that moment, I hung up the phone straight away. But then, a few days after that, this time I had a phone call from Chad. Just like Karen, I assumed he was going to ask for money, but there was a possibility that it could be an emergency. Just in case, I answered the phone. However, just as I expected.
Hello, is it you, Paige?
What do you want?
How much do you have stored away for emergencies? That emergency fund? You need to give it all over to your mom and dad. Hannah is saying that she wants a diet machine.
And then, just as I did to Karen, I hung up the phone immediately. And then I blocked both of their numbers. However, my parents didn't give up. They started calling me from public telephones, and they even managed to dig out my social media accounts and contacted me there. Even though I ignored all of them, and after I blocked them on social media, they would make a new account and message me again. It was beyond annoying. Eventually, I had had enough, and something inside of me snapped. Of course, I was going to stop sending money, but I decided to cut off all ties with the three of them. It may seem like I'm an ungrateful child after they raised me to cut off all ties with them, but I was working multiple part-time jobs over 18 years and was still sending them $500 a month, so that should be more than enough. But after a few weeks later, this time I received a phone call to my cell phone from Hannah. I was about to lose my temper once again, but I thought it was the perfect job opportunity to tell them I was going to quit sending money and that I was cutting off all ties with them. So I picked up the call from Hannah. Oh, hello? Paige! Hello, are mom and dad nearby you right now? I need to talk to them. What? About what? Yeah, I'm going to stop sending you $500 every month, and also don't ever call me again. I am cutting off all ties with you as a family now. Huh? Why don't you do what you want? Go ahead. Go right ahead. But also, I was calling you because I wanted to cut off all ties with you too. What? I was a little bit taken aback, but then my little sister continued to talk and said the most outrageous thing. I was just calling you to tell you that there was no need for you anymore. Wait, what do you mean? Guess what? I'm engaged to a super rich man. Huh? Engaged? Yeah, and my fiance is the division manager of a major company. Have you heard of the Pianicore Group? It's a super major company. I got the cream of the crop. So that's why mom and dad probably won't need your pathetic $500 a month anymore. When Hannah said that, she just started going on a rant about her fiance and bragging about herself the whole time. I feel so sorry for you, big sis. You got yourself a husband that's good for nothing, and you're living a poor life, right? Well, I'm sure a celebrity lifestyle like mine is going to be impossible for you for the rest of your life. Seriously, how unfortunate for you. After belittling me like that, Hannah continued to say this. It's too embarrassing for my fiancé to find out that I have such an old, saggy big sister. I don't want invite you to the wedding, and anytime there's a family gathering, I definitely don't want you to attend. So, with that, we're cutting off all ties.
I see. In that case, this was perfect for me too. Well, I'm glad that we're on the same page. Goodbye. However, a few months later, I never could have imagined that the most ridiculous future was waiting for those three. Well, as for me, actually, immediately after I cut ties with Hannah, I did predict that those three were probably going to end up in a disaster. And so, a few months later, for the first time in a long time, I got a phone call from Hannah. I had already blocked both of my parents, but I guess I forgot to do that with Hannah's phone number and her messenger account. Because I had already predicted that they had a dark future ahead, I was just starting to wonder how the three of them were going about their lives in the present day. And so, out of pure curiosity, I decided to answer the phone. Hello?
Paige? You finally answered the phone! Sheesh, this is why I hate old people, because you're so slow! I'm going to put the phone on speaker now.
What?
Hello, is that you, Paige? You have money, don't you? It's fine if it's just a meager $500. You need to transfer that to your mom and dad's account immediately.
Huh? But I told you that I was going to stop sending money every month already.
No, stop with the nonsense. You need to prepare the money within today. I'm the one that gave birth to you, you know. And you have a responsibility to thank me.
Goodness, is this the attitude to take when you're asking someone for a favor?
Anyway, right now we're going through a really difficult time, and you're the eldest daughter of the family, so you need to do something about it.
What are you saying? All three of you? You did this to yourselves, didn't you?
Hmm?
I'm sure you never expected your fiancé to lie about where he was working. But also, I can't believe that the engagement itself was actually just to get money out of you guys. I'm sure you guys never expected that either.
What? How do you know about that?
That's right. Hannah was actually the victim of a marriage scam. And long before she found out, I already knew that Hannah was being fooled. Because... Remember you told me that your fiancé was a division manager at the major company Panacore Group? Well, the Panacore Group just so happens to be a company that Kevin has some business relations with. And so he actually knew all of the faces and names of the managers at that company.
What?
Both Kevin and I know the division manager, and we simply couldn't believe that it was the same person that you were talking about. So we asked the division manager himself if he had any idea. And then he told us that recently there was somebody who was faking his identity and repeatedly scamming people. And it was causing him so much trouble that just the other day he had filed a police report about it.
What did you say?
I heard he was arrested recently, isn't that right? Well, congratulations.
What? What do you mean, congratulations? Me and Dad and Mom thought that I got the cream of the crop, and it would be easy to pay back any debt. So over the last few months, not only did we hand him $2,000 every month, but we went on vacations together and went shopping together. And, you know, we ended up taking out a lot of money in loans from consumer finance.
Looks like it. I had heard from the relatives that you guys were living quite the luxurious life. So I figured that you were probably getting carried away and just taking out more and more loans.
This isn't a joke! What are you going to do about it?
What do you mean, what am I going to do about it? Why don't you figure it out yourself?
Ah!
Even though they had treated me like the outcast of the family, now I was the one laughing at them. They must have been pretty upset about that. I could hear Hannah start crying on the other end of the phone.
I've been quiet and listening, but how dare you, Paige? If only you had told us the truth earlier, none of this would have happened. This is all your fault.
That's right. If you knew that your family was being fooled, then why did you just leave us?
But you three aren't my family. You're nothing to me. You treated me like an ATM, so you don't just bring out the word family when it's convenient for you.
Oh!
You bastard! If you're going to take it this far, we're going to barge into your house and we're going to force the money out of your hands.
After Karen yelled that into the phone, the call ended. However, about an hour later, I received another phone call from Hannah's phone.
What is going on here, Paige? Your house. There's nobody living here.
Yes, because Kevin and I built a house and we actually just moved in today.
Built a house?
I knew it! So you do have money!
Where are you? You need to tell us right now. If we don't return the money to the consumer finances company immediately, we're going to be in so much trouble. If you have money, give it to us.
No, it's not that I have money. Actually, just the other day, Kevin's company was acquired by the Panicore Group. And funny enough, he's actually been named the division manager.
Huh?
He has a really great salary too, so we took the leap to build our dream home. And we were able to prepare the deposit too. Since you knew my last address, I didn't want you to show up like you are now and try to force yourselves in. Right at that moment, the other end of the phone, I heard the deep voices of some very scary sounding men. Perhaps the people from Consumer Finances have come to collect from them. Looks like you're a little busy now. I think I'm going to block your phone number now too, so the three of you, goodbye forever.
Hey! Wait! Paige? But forgive me!
And at that very moment, I hung up the phone, and I blocked Hannah's phone number. And as if nothing had happened, I went right back to unpacking and cleaning up. After that, I heard Chad and Karen and Hannah were all taken away by the debt collectors. Apparently, they were all sent off to separate dangerous countries, and that they're being worked like slaves day and night. They're all starting at the bottom, and it seems that none of them are being treated like human beings. They were completely broken down and barely surviving. One of our relatives said they received letters from the three of them, and that in each of those letters, they described the most dire situations that they were in. Knowing how much they've gone into debt, I'm sure the three of them won't be able to get out of that for the rest of their lives. Poor them. Well then, on the other hand, as for me, I quit my part-time jobs, and I am living a very happy life with my husband Kevin, who was promoted to division manager in our brand new house. He said that he was going to work hard for me, and I knew that he was working hard day by day, but I didn't think that the results would come this fast. And this is the husband that I fell in love with. And so, the other day, to thank Kevin for all his hard work, and to show my appreciation for him, I prepared an extremely luxurious dinner for him.
I'm home. Whoa, is this dinner tonight? It looks amazing. Steak and even tempura and sushi. It's almost like a dinner at a luxury resort.
There's also melon in the fridge. Kevin was always working so hard for us. Thank you.
What are you saying? I should be the one thanking you. I'm only able to work hard because you're supporting me, Paige.
Well then, go get dressed. Let's eat dinner. Seriously, I'm the happiest woman on earth. My name is Paige. I'm a 34-year-old working housewife. My husband, Jonathan, was 5 years younger than me and 29 years old. I never had any interest whatsoever in younger guys, but 3 years ago, on a night with heavy rain, I was getting soaked, and Jonathan came over to me, and he gently opened up his umbrella to me. That was how Jonathan and I met. In order to thank him, I invited him out to dinner one day. But it turns out that Jonathan had actually fallen in love with me at first sight. From that day forward, he started chasing after me. I eventually lost to the momentum, and we began dating. Before I knew it, we were engaged, and we got married. Because we got married pretty fast, and he was also 5 years younger than me, a lot of people around me had a lot to say about it. But I don't regret it at all, because to this day, Jonathan always thinks of me as his top priority, and he's amazing. And plus, more than anything, my husband and I were blessed with the most beautiful baby daughter last year, Pauline. However, ever since I gave birth to Pauline, little by little, my mother-in-law, who we live with, started becoming a little bit annoying.
Hey, Paige, when are you going to quit your job? I thought you were going to quit your job when you became pregnant with Pauline, but I didn't think that you'd be going back to work this soon already.
Well, I did think about it for a long time, but in the end, I realized that it would be best for me to go back to work as soon as possible. Jonathan and I discussed it together, and the best option was for me to go back to work as soon as possible.
I understand what you're trying to say, but you never know when Pauline might have a fever and need to stay home. You know, because kids get sick really easily. And plus, as she starts to get older, I'm sure she's going to be sad when she comes home from school and her mom isn't home.
But Jonathan was right there to save me from his mom.
Hey, Mom, you're having this conversation again? Seriously, it's becoming annoying every single time. This is something that we decided after discussing it together, so stop forcing your opinion onto us so much.
But I'm only saying this for Pauline's sake, you know.
Like I said, that's something for me and Paige to discuss and decide together.
Once again, we were talking about my work, and I could tell that this was leading towards another frustrating situation. Even though Pauline was quietly sleeping in the other room, she started crying out loud. It always turned into this kind of argument and disaster. Ma'am, we have come up with a lot of different solutions to make sure that Pauline is never sad. And plus, the company where I'm working also has its own preschool, and they also have nurses that are always on standby, so once there's availability there, we're considering putting her in that preschool.
There you go again, trying to say things that are so convenient for you.
No, that's not what I'm trying to do. In the end, things ended poorly between us once again, and I knew that it was going to take some time again for us to be able to have normal conversations again. That's why I made this suggestion to Jonathan. Look, I understand that there's some reason to what your mother is saying, and it's true. I don't ever want Pauline to feel sad or lonely at home.
But still, even if there is some reason to what my mom is saying, I don't think she's really saying all of that just because she's worried about Pauline.
Yeah, I know.
That's right, because even until now, she's never once tried to look after Pauline for us, and even tomorrow she said that she was going on a vacation somewhere.
What? Vacation? I didn't know she was going again. Didn't she just go on a beach vacation last month?
That's right. That's my mom. She always thinks of herself and herself only. And that's why I don't think that there's any need for us to listen to anything my mom says.
Sure. My mother-in-law was the type of person to treasure her friendships with the neighbors and with her old friends. I don't think that there was an issue with that, but how do I say this? She spends money recklessly, and you could say she has expensive taste. Well, she has a tendency to want to show off quite a lot. It would be one thing if she was managing all of this off of her own Social Security, but even though she was living at our house, it wasn't like she was putting in any money toward the family. Does she ever buy anything for Pauline either? I was having difficulty with my mother-in-law and this personality of hers. But then the next day, she said this to me before she went off on her vacation.
Paige, I'm about to go on a 3-day vacation with my friend to the hot springs. Recently, we've been busy with the chores, and so we all wanted to go spread out our wings and relax.
I see. I understand. Have a safe trip and great vacation.
I'm going to be back around the evening on Sunday. But just because I'm not around, you better not slack off on the chores or cooking, because it's a given that the wife should be taking care of the house.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. But also, I would like to take those words and give them right back to you just like that. Don't slack on the chores and cooking. You've never lifted a finger around this house. And plus, I've never fed my family pre-made meals, and I'm doing your laundry for you every day as well. Whatever. Even though she's about to go on holiday, I don't want to ruin the mood again. I just want to hurry up and leave, so I should just hold it in for now. I settled for the lower hand and remained calm, and my mother-in-law walked out the door in a great mood. To be honest, whenever my mother-in-law leaves the house, I can relax, because I don't have to be lectured that because you have a child, you need to become a full-time housewife, or anything like that. However, as I was running around trying to manage my life, 2 nights flew by in the blink of an eye. When my mother-in-law came back from her vacation, for some reason, she was not in a good mood, and immediately she came over to me, and she started furiously yelling at me.
Hey, Paige, I have something very important to talk to you about today. Until you answer me, I don't plan on finishing this conversation, so you better be ready.
Yes, but what is the matter? I saw how angry my mother-in-law was, and I had a bad feeling come over me, because she was speaking more harshly than usual. And so, just as I expected, these were the words that came out of my mother-in-law's mouth.
You're going to quit your job at the end of this month. Do you understand?
What? You want me to quit my job this month? But that's too sudden. Ma'am, what happened while you were on vacation? We told you before, didn't we, that Jonathan and I would discuss that? My mother-in-law was going crazy, and that's how I responded, but...
Your opinion doesn't matter. You know my friend, the neighbor Tammy? Tammy just welcomed her second grandchild, and then, when I asked her, her daughter quit her job after she gave birth to their first child, and now she is a full-time housewife taking care of the kids.
Yes, and what about that?
When I heard that, that's when I realized that Tammy's daughter-in-law is exactly what a daughter-in-law should be.
Huh.
And then she asked me, what about your family? And I was too embarrassed to say that you're leaving your daughter at home and instead you're only focused on your job.
I'm not just leaving her.
That's why I made sure to answer her like this. That I was about to welcome our second grandchild, and that my daughter-in-law is also going to quit her job.
What? Second grandchild? And plus, you told her already that I was going to quit my job? Things had taken such a turn for the worse that I couldn't even think of the words to say back to her.
What's going on? Are you causing a fuss again to make Paige quit her job and make her a full-time housewife?
I definitely think that is going to be much better for you because Paige is working hard full-time and yet she's only able to make $100,000 a month, right? I heard from Tammy that as a woman, that's probably all she's making. If you're going to make such meager money, then it would be much better for you to be a proper full-time housewife at home and save money. Do you understand? You're going to become a full-time housewife.
Just as I thought, my mother-in-law really doesn't know anything. My husband and I had had enough. We locked eyes and we both nodded at each other. Neither of us really wanted to have to say this, but... Alright, fine. You're really sure about this, right?
Mom, you're really not going to regret it, right? But I'm going to tell you right now, you're definitely going to regret it.
Regret? Obviously, there's no way that's going to happen. Over a mere $1,000? If you were going to say yes this easily, then I should have had this serious conversation with you much sooner. And with this, I can finally give my friends some more good news. Being a full-time housewife is the best.
My mother-in-law looked like she had just won the fight, but Jonathan had a very distressed look on his face. Do we really do just as my mother-in-law says? No, that's definitely not okay. We need to take this opportunity to make sure she jumps in her pants. Ma'am, it's fine for me to quit my job and become a full-time housewife, but there is a condition to that.
A condition? What if you say you're going to become a full-time housewife, then I'll listen to any condition.
Oh, is that so? Well then, that's good. In that case, we're going to move out of this apartment within this week.
What do you mean, move out of this apartment?
Yes, that's right. If I'm going to quit my job, then we need to lower our living standards. We're not going to be able to pay for your food expenses, among other things, anymore.
That's right. Let's do that. I was also thinking it would be best for us to stop living together. It's just us. I think we'll be able to save a lot more. We can hold back on unnecessary expenses, too.
Our response was unexpected, but Jonathan's mother jumped right on board.
Fine, whatever. That's fine for me. I can live off my own Social Security and the money that your father left me anyway. However, I'm just saying that you need to become a full-time housewife for Pauline's sake. Okay?
Is that so? Well, I understand how you feel, ma'am. Anyway, tomorrow we're going to start preparing to move out.
Sure.
This family meeting left a bitter taste in our mouths. However, just as we declared, Jonathan and I found a new place to live, and we immediately began the move. Compared to the apartment that we were living in before, it did go down a couple of grades, but it's not like we're going to be living here forever, and we decided to just tolerate it for the time being. That's right. I told my mother-in-law that I was going to become a full-time housewife, but based on my contract with my company, it's not like I can just resign immediately due to my own personal circumstances. And that's why, if Jonathan's mother said anything again, we discussed that we would just tell her I was quitting at the end of the year. After that, not much happened in the days and weeks that passed by. However, about 1 month later, my mother-in-law showed up at our new apartment door, completely pale and panicking.
Hey, what on earth is going on here?
Oh, she's finally here. Jonathan and I had actually been waiting for this day to come. That's right, and for this day, that's why we had purposely given her the address to our new place.
Hey, what is this? The rent for that apartment? I received an invoice for $4,000 a month. And also, what is this? Something about a management fee? And I got an invoice for another $300 on top of the rent. Obviously, there is no way that I can pay that kind of money. I'm living off of Social Security, you know?
Oh dear, a long time no see. I'm sorry that we live in such a small house right now. I'm sure this is an apartment that for someone like you living in a luxury apartment, you probably don't even want to step foot in.
That doesn't matter right now. I'm trying to ask you what is going on with the rent for that apartment. Who on earth was paying for that apartment until now? It must mean that Jonathan has been earning a high salary without me knowing, right? Hey, what's going on?
My mother-in-law was completely flustered. It seems like she still hadn't been able to grasp the situation. And so, in order to show her the truth, Jonathan went to get our bank statements and showed his mother.
Mom, why don't you take a look at this? Paige's income is 10 times that of mine.
What? 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100, 1 million? What?
That's why I asked you, didn't I? If you were gonna regret it if Paige becomes a full-time housewife?
Well, what? But, I totally thought that you were the one earning money, Jonathan.
Ma'am, what are you saying? This is why you shouldn't have just assumed things and said whatever you wanted.
Mom, you might not know anything about Paige, but she works for a major top-class company, and right now she's been given the responsibility of a very big project. If this succeeds, she's been promised a promotion, and her salary is going to increase even more. Isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've been working extra hard these days. But we don't have any intention of living together with you again. So no matter what you say, it doesn't matter anymore.
But without the two of you, I can't pay rent for that place anymore, and I can't go to lunch with my friends either. Please help me.
There it is. Finally, she's starting to beg. After that, my mother-in-law continued to cry and continued to apologize. But of course, neither of us had any intention of giving her.
We're not going to entertain your reckless spending anymore, and we're also planning on deciding what to do with our family and our lives ourselves. So, Mom, we wish you all the best on your own.
Wait a minute, Jonathan! Paige! Please don't leave me! Please, don't leave me alone!
Oh, that reminds me. We're actually only going to be staying here for a couple of months. After that, we're going to move again, but we're not planning on giving you our next address. Please do take care of your house, and we wish you all the best.
Wait, Paige. Not you too. Please, don't leave me either.
No matter what she says, the train has already passed. I didn't have time to be entertaining my mother-in-law any further. I suppose this is what they call karma. She did this to herself. After that, for a while our mother-in-law was sending us messages for help every day. But eventually she must have realized that I wasn't going to respond, because she must have given up and she stopped contacting me. Apparently, she had to let go of the luxury apartment and is now riddled in debt. I heard that she's living at a hotel far away and working as an in-house janitor, living a poor life in order to pay back her debts. On the other hand, Jonathan and I were able to regain a peaceful life, and we were so happy.
Hey, Paige, apparently our new house is going to be finished soon.
That's right, it's our dream home. I can't wait.
Actually, there's something that I needed to tell you, Paige.
What is it?
Guess what? The project at work that I was given is going really well so far, and...
What? That's amazing!
And then I was able to get a promotion to department manager. Even still, it's not that big of a deal compared to you, but...
That's not true. You worked really hard for this.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that my salary is going to go up by that much, so I would be grateful if you continued working at whatever pace is best for you.
Of course, that's what I plan on doing. And of course I'm going to continue working with Pauline as my top priority, so that she never has to be sad.
Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!